Hi everyone, it's Chris and welcome back to another video. Thank you for joining me today. I'm going to continue with my series of favourite fives where I share my favourite 5 albums and my favourite 5 tracks from any one particular artist. And today's choice is Santana, San Francisco based band who burst onto the scene at the 1969 Woodstock Festival to great effect and were one of the highlights for me of that particular festival. And so what I've got for you today are my favourite 5 albums by them, and there's a big choice, and my favourite 5 songs, and there's a vast choice for that. And because there is a vast choice, I'm also going to cheat slightly and just give you some honourable mentions from 5 different albums. So let's go to the albums first. So in 5th place we've got Borboleta, which I think is Portuguese for butterfly. Love the cover of this album and I really like this album. Side 1 is good, and one of the highlights of the whole album is the bass work, and on side 1 we've got David Brown, the original bassist for Santana, doing some beautiful work. This has also got Erto Maria and his wife Floria Purim on it, so it gives it a kind of a jazz sensibility and a jazz feel. This is the 3rd of their kind of jazz trilogy really, so Caravanserai, then Welcome, and then Borboleta. And this is a really good album, I think, especially side 2. On side 2 the bass has changed, and you know, when you listen to it you think, oh, the bass work is really good. It's Stanley Clarke playing bass and he really adds something to this album for sure. Aspirations is the end of side 1, he's on that, Stanley Clarke's on that, and that's great. Side 2 is really strong. Practice What You Preach is a really good song, and then we've got a sort of 3 songs in a row which absolute highlights of this album: Here and Now, Florida Canela, and Promise of a Fisherman. The latter song has got some of the most immense guitar work from Carlos Santana, but the bass work on Here and Now and Florida Canela is just fantastic, as you would imagine from Stanley Clarke, and that's my 5th favourite Santana album. In position number 4 we've got Caravanserai, the first of their jazzy albums. So this one was followed by Welcome and then Borboleta. So this was a complete change in direction for, not complete change, but quite a change in direction and a much greater jazzier feel. I think they were under pressure to produce a commercial album, building on the success of the album that came before this and the ones that came before that. But they went ahead and produced this with no obvious songs on it really, because I know Carlos Santana says there are no songs on this album, just slices of life, which is ever so slightly pretentious, but when you listen to it I kind of get his point really. It is quite a jazzy album and there are some absolute highlights on this album. So this is the version of the band that includes Neil Schon, who went on to play obviously with Journey. It's got Douglas Rauch on bass, and there's some beautiful bass work throughout this album. Waves Within is a tremendous song. Look Up to See What's Coming Down is great. Song of the Wind is just a superb song, and it's got an Antonio Carlos Jobim song, Stoneflower, which is beautiful, and the track that closes the album is called Every Step of the Way, and the guitar work between Carlos Santana and Neil Schon is just off the chart. It's fantastic. The song before that, La Fuente del Ritmo as well, Ritmo, is really good also. Has Mingo Lewis on the percussion as well, and he adds quite a lot to this album. I've always loved the cover of that album. So that's Caravanserai from 72, and that's at number 4. At number 3, gone for their 2nd album, Abraxas. Beautiful cover and a tremendous album. So they really built on their debut with this. It's got a couple of covers on here. They've got a version of Fleetwood Mac's Black Magic Woman, which I think is better than the original, and that kind of goes straight into another cover. They kind of join that Black Magic Woman with Gypsy Queen, which is a Garbo Zabo jazz kind of tune. It works really well. There's also a cover, Oil Como Vala, Tito Puento's song, which is really good. Incident at Neshabar is a superb song with some absolutely superlative guitar work. Sea Cabo is good. Samba Party, which is kind of a real Latin song, big single for them, very famous song by them, and a good rocky song actually called Hope You're Feeling Better, refrains of which from that song actually feature in a later album as well, and that's written by their keyboard player Greg Rowley, who adds, I think, quite a lot to this band. He's the guy who with Neil Schon went on to play in Journey, and I love his vocals and I love his Hammond organ as well. He offers a lot to this band. So that's my 3rd favourite album by them, their 2nd album from 71, Abraxas. In 2nd place, I'm going with their debut. I love the cover, I love the kind of font as well, the kind of really sort of San Francisco festival kind of logo-ish kind of thing. I love it, and this is just a brilliant album. Came out a matter of weeks after the Woodstock Festival with some of their absolute classics. So Evil Ways is on here, Jingo is on here, Jingo la ba 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 ba, love it. If you love that song, then you probably want to look out for Santana 68, where they've got a 9-minute or 10-minute version of Jingo la ba. It was edited down for this particular album, and it's still really, really good. So Jingo is fantastic. Evil Ways, Persuasion, Treat, they're great songs. Soul Sacrifice, that closes the album, is a masterclass of percussion. Now, you probably know that song from Woodstock, where a very, very young, I think he was about 20, Michael Shreve really comes to the fore with a drum solo from another planet. And this has got a real classic lineup. So Carlos Santana on guitar, Michael Carabello on conga, Dave Brown on bass, who's just superb, Jose Chavito Arias on timbales, Michael Shreve on drums, and Greg Rowley on piano and vocals, organ and vocals. Tremendous album. It's an absolutely tremendous album, groundbreaking in the terms of world music, and Santana are a world music band. My favourite album by them, though, is their third album from 1971, called The Third Album. So I love the cover of this particular album, and I absolutely love every track on this album. So this was a version of the band where they brought in Neil Schon, who was very young at the time. I think he was about 17, 18. Now, Santana had recorded or had jammed with Derek and the Dominoes, and Eric Clapton was very keen to have Neil Schon play with Derek and the Dominoes, but Carlos Santana dragged him into Santana before he had a chance to make up his mind about Derek and the Dominoes. So, that's a great move from Carlos Santana, because this is a real Neil Schon album. It really is. So the songs on here are fantastic. Batuka, which starts the album, is a brilliant opening song, and the guitar solo at the end of that, which is done by Neil Schon, is just out of this world. It really introduces him to the world. It's amazing. The song that follows that, No One to Depend On, is a really, really good song as well, kind of a rocky song. There's some elements of Hope You're Feeling Better, which was a song that was on Abraxas. There's elements of that in that particular song. It's a great song. And then we've got Taboo, and the opening notes of Taboo, I would imagine that Golden Earring were inspired by that for Radar Love. There's quite a lot of similarities, and halfway through Taboo we've got a riff that sounds a little bit like Whole Lot of Love. So Santana listening to lots of influences, and that has a fantastic solo halfway through from Carlos Santana, and then the last one is by Neil Schon, and it's just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Toussaint Louverture closes the album. That's a fantastic song, more about that later. Side 2 opens with a song called Everybody's Everything, which features the Tower of Power horn section. And it's just a brilliant song. Absolutely love it. It's a Gene Ammons song, I think, which he had done in 1970, and they do a version of it. It's just brilliant, and the horn section really adds something to it. And again, Neil Schon absolutely to the fore. The guitar solo completely brilliant in it, absolutely. The next song is just tremendous. It's got it's called Guajira, and it's a kind of a Cuban rhythm. It's just a brilliant song. I can't remember who the singer is. Is it Rico Reyes, I think, who sings on that? He adds a lot of Latin to this particular band. He was new to this band, as was a percussionist and vocalist called Coke Escovedo as well, who really adds a definite feel to this album. So after Guajira, which is a fantastic tune with brilliant guitar again from Neil Schon on it, and Carlos Santana, then it goes into Jungle Strut. And Jungle Strut is just a masterclass in how to have two lead guitarists work simultaneously. It's just a masterclass of guitar. It's brilliant. So Everything's Coming Our Way is a great tune, and Para los Ramburos is the closer, which is just brilliant. And this is an absolutely classic album with some just amazing musicians at the absolute height of their game. Superb album, and that's my favourite Santana album. So let's go to my favourite songs. Now, I've got 5, and this was really hard. This was a bit like choosing between your children, which a lot of these favourite 5s are, if I'm honest. And at number 5, this may surprise some people, but I'm going for a 1979 album, and this is the the newest album I possess in my collection. The album is called Marathon. Came out in 1979 on CBS. And it's there's some poppy songs on here, there's some rocky songs on here, but there's one song on here which is an instrumental, which is absolutely beautiful piece of music. It's called Aquamarine, and it is in a different colour. It's an absolute standout song of this album. The bass work on it is superb, and I couldn't find who the bassist was. It's not actually credited on the cover. And so I searched around for this, and it works out it's Jaco Pastorius, so no wonder the bass work is brilliant. So that's my fifth favourite song from Marathon from 1979, Aquamarine. If you don't know it, oh, it's a beautiful piece of work, absolutely superb. At number 4, and this may well surprise some people, I think, because it's not maybe known as one of their better songs, but it's one of my favourites, and this is my favourite. It's not the best, this is my favourite. So I'm going to an album that I got for Christmas in 1977, and it's the first thing I owned by Santana. Now, they just had a hit in the charts because She's Not There, and I love that, and it was from the album Moonflower, which is a double album. It's half live, half studio, or a little bit more live than it is studio, and it does have some really good studio cuts on them, and one of them is my fourth favourite song. It's called Transcendence. It's a brilliant song. It does feature, for me anyway, one of my favourite Carlos Santana guitar solos. It's about 5.5 minutes long, 3.5 minutes of which is this just amazing piece of guitaring. It starts off with a particular kind of understated tone, and then I don't know, he presses a pedal and the tone changes and it speeds up, and it's just, oh, it's outworldly. It's just brilliant, absolutely fantastic. That's my fourth favourite song, is Transcendence from Moonflower from 1977. Okay, at number 3, going to my favourite album from Santana 3 with this fantastic group of musicians, and it's a song that I've mentioned already, that masterclass of dual lead guitar is Jungle Strut. The interplay between Carlos Santana and Neil Schon is just immense, and that's my third favourite song from their third album, and that's Jungle Strut. At number 2, I'm going to their first of their kind of jazzy albums, Caravanserai, and there's a song on here which has just beautiful guitar work on it. Again, it's from Neil Schon and from Carlos Santana. You often can't tell the difference between the two. I think the difference is often in this, very much in the sound, in that Neil Schon often plays through a wah-wah pedal. He doesn't on this particular song, and I can't tell who's playing which bit, but the guitar work is fantastic, and the song is called Song of the Wind. And that's my second favourite song, Song of the Wind. It's just, oh, beautiful. And at number 1 is a song, again, from my third favourite album, my first favourite album, my most favourite album from Santana, from the third album. And it's a song that closes side 1. It's, I think, the most played song at Santana concerts, I think. And the song is called Toussaint Louverture, which is a homage to Toussaint Louverture, the guy from history. I don't know much about him, but this song is just, oh, it's just superb. The guitar work on it. There's kind of almost like a jam section at the end where Carlos Santana and Neil Schon are just trading licks, and you can tell the difference between the two, I think, in this particular song. Neil Schon very much playing more on a wah-wah pedal through it, and it's just brilliant. But you know, the guitar work on that is just some of the most breathtaking guitar work I've ever heard. It's brilliant, and that's my favourite song by Santana, Toussaint Louverture, from the third album. So just going to give you some honourable mentions now, and I mentioned one particular album. Where is it? Here, the Aquamarine, my fifth favourite song, came from. This has got some quite good little rocky moments. It's produced by Keith Olsen, who worked with Journey amongst others, and songs like Hard Times are kind of a more rocky element of Santana, but All I Ever Wanted, which closes, I think, side 1, is just a great rock song. That's a fantastic song. And also another album that I mentioned, which Transcendence, my fourth favourite song, was Moonflower. This has got some good studio stuff as well as some good live stuff. In fact, it's got a stellar version of Toussaint Louverture on it, which closes the album. It's just brilliant. And this is the album with Transcendence. But El Morocco is good. And The song that I love the most, I think, on here, she's not there, is on here, but Flor de Luna is a beautiful Latin instrumental. It's just fantastic. Flor de Luna from Moonflower, really worth getting hold of. This third album with some recommendations is the second of their jazzy albums. This is Welcome. And so I would go to Samba de Sausalito from here, which has got some beautiful electric piano, like Fender Rhodes piano from Tom Costa, and a song called Flame Sky, which has got John McLaughlin on it, and that's a brilliant jazz fusion song, absolutely amazing, from Welcome, the album that was sandwiched between Caravanserai and Borboleta. Two more albums and some songs. So from Festival, this is from 1976. This and the next one were the albums that they were touring for Moonflower. This is a good album, and it starts off with 3 songs that always are played live together, and on the album just merge. So I'm going to include them as one song. And the 3 parts to this one song are Carnival, Let the Children Play, and Jugando. Just brilliant Latin rock, just immense. What a way to start the album. And the other song is an instrumental with a kind of a bolero kind of feel to it. It's just fantastic, called Revelations. Brilliant song from the album Festival from 1976. And the last recommendations comes from this album, Amigos, which features one of Carlos Santana's most famous instrumentals, Europa, which is a masterclass in melodic guitar soloing, just brilliant. But Take Me With You has got one of the best solos, I think, from Carlos Santana. That's an immense song as well. So there you go, there's my favourite 5. Let me know what your favourite 5 are, because this is a big catalogue, and all of this lot came from the 70s. I've ignored the 80s, and that's probably not a bad thing, because the 70s, definitely their purple patch. So there you go, hope you enjoyed that, and I'll be back sometime soon with another video. Cheers.